Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films, and today I am, well, technically I've already started, but I am starting a journey for the One Piece. The One Piece is real. The One Piece is real. At least I think it's real. They say it's real, so I assume it's real. But yeah, I know that's one of the big memes. But yes, I'm reading One Piece now. God help me. So yeah, I was just like at a Barnes and Noble, just randomly, and I was like, you know what? I see this One Piece. I see One Piece. I've been meaning to get into this for a while. I've been teetering back and forth. Do I read the manga? Do I try to watch the anime? I'm not going to react to the anime because the anime would take me too long. This, that, the other thing. I decided, you know what? I'm just going to read the friggin' thing, and this is what I'm going to do. So, the last time I did a manga review, and this was a while ago, was Sailor Moon. And towards the end, I went to scripted videos instead of off-the-cuff unscripted videos. And while I do kind of prefer those videos, I think those videos are higher quality, they're also really friggin' hard to make. They take a lot of time to put in, and I just don't have that kind of time. So we're going back to the unscripted reviews like I used to do, and I'm going to try to keep them a bit more focused. But yeah, we are going to be talking about One Piece today. Now, we're going to be talking mostly of the first 3 volumes. We're actually only going through chapter 21 today. So if you've read One Piece, that's how far we're going. Basically, just to give you context of how far we're going through the end of the Buggy the Clown arc. So basically it ends with Luffy, Zolo, we'll talk about that, and Nami going off in their ships, basically. That's as far as I'm going because I thought that was a good place to wrap it. So the next video we'll be covering the rest of volume 3 through the next story arc or so that I decide. So yeah, and if you haven't read One Piece, or if you haven't watched One Piece, definitely go check it out because it is really good. It's a lot of fun. I'll just tell you right now, I'm enjoying it. And yeah, why don't we get right into this? This will contain spoilers basically for the first the first 21 chapters of One Piece. So, and I've got some concise notes here on my computer, so this is hopefully won't take 20 million years. So yeah. Also, I should say, this will not be consistent. Like, this is not going to be, every week that I'm going to be posting a new One Piece review. It'll basically be when I feel like I can, fill a video, basically. So, it'll be out when it's out. And we like that. It'll be out when it's out. But great work ethic, really. Now, I'm referencing stuff that nobody's going to understand. Anyway, let's talk One Piece. So, first thing to talk about is the beginning, Luffy's backstory with the red-haired Shanks, which was really interesting. I really enjoyed that because, you have your, I don't want to say typical, there's nothing typical about Monkey D. Luffy, but I really enjoyed the beginning where, he wants to be a pirate. He obviously wants to be a pirate, but I like his interactions with Shanks. Shanks is such an interesting character already, and he's basically saying, hey, you don't want to be a pirate yet. You can't even swim. You don't want to do this, that. And, Luffy's trying to, prove himself, and he even, stabs himself to give him a scar. And actually, I think that's basically, the first thing in this is... Well, the first thing is obviously going over... Gold Rogers, there once was a man named Gold Rogers who was king of the pirates. I should also say my experience with One Piece, because I'm not going into this 100% blind, but I used to watch One Piece back in the day. And what that means is I watched the 4Kids version when that was airing. In fact, what did I go get? Because I know I have it. I don't know why I didn't get this out for this video, but I have one of the original One Piece DVDs, and this is yeah, you can see right here. It is the 4Kids version, and this DVD contains 3 episodes. The first 3 episodes, But yeah, but I mean, even now, because I haven't watched any, like, I thought about, pretty much what I did with Sailor Moon is while I was reading, eventually I would start watching the anime, but I have not started watching the One Piece anime in conjunction, basically, with the manga, but it is interesting just immediately just to see how far the first 3 episodes get. Can I get this without a glare? I guess not. So yeah, so I do have one of the original One Piece 4Kids dub DVDs. So yeah, and I have to say, yes, I'm gonna be. I don't know if this is controversial or anything. I do love the pirate rap. Not as an actual good song, but it is just hilarious and just goofy and fun. So yeah. So I just wanted to mention that. That is my history with One Piece. And now, this says 2006 on it. So 17 years later, I am actually reading genuine One Piece. So yeah. So they start off with the whole thing of, Gold Rogers, he was king of the pirates. And then he says, I left everything I own in one piece. Except he doesn't. My treasure? Why, it's right where I left it. It's yours if you can find it, but you'll have to search the whole world. I don't know why they don't actually say One Piece. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird thing. Like, I think it's in chapter 2 that they actually say the name One Piece, but it's a minor thing. Anyway, so yeah. First thing that happens, I might do this instead of focus. I might do this instead of trying to put up images. I'll just reference them like this. So yeah. Hold on. First thing is Luffy stabbing himself to try to prove he's strong enough to be a pirate, And Shanks is like, all right, slow your roll there, bucko. But I like Shanks. Honestly, is a good man, and I like how it's interesting how pirates are displayed. Like, immediately I can tell One Piece is the Japanese version of Pirates of the Caribbean, except somehow weirder, Like, so if you're a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan, One Piece, this is for you, Just know that there's over 1,000 chapters of the manga and 1,000 episodes of the anime. And like 25 movies. Which we are going to be reacting to the movies, I think. So, So, here's the thing. Pretty much immediately, they show you how pirates are not good people, It's like, well, should we be taking care of Luffy? I mean, we got, villages to raid, people to kill, women to rape. We've got a lot of stuff we gotta do, We got a lot of pirating stuff to do. So they definitely show immediately that pirates are not good people. But you can be a good pirate. I mean, first off, I just, shot out a couple things. I don't think these guys are raping women. I hope they're not. I don't remember. But yeah, but you can still be a good person while also being a pirate, which is inherently not a good thing. And it's very much the Mike Ehrmantraut thing from season 1 of Better Call Saul. And I reference this because I'm just a friggin' nut over Better Call Saul anyway. So yeah. But it's the whole thing of, where Mike Ehrmantraut says it's like, just because you're a criminal doesn't mean you're a bad guy. I've seen bad cops and honorable thieves, So there's basically that. It's like there's a difference between a bad pirate and a good pirate. And this will come up later again with Nami, but we'll get to that later. So that immediately piqued my interest. And Shanks is just such an interesting character immediately. And finally, Luffy is able to set off 10 years later on his pirate adventure. And I did play the Wind Waker music because I just freaking love Wind Waker, and that's the music that came into my head. So yeah. And yeah, so it's an interesting beginning basically to that. I also like how when they fight who is it? When they fight the mountain bandits, I think. I like how they don't play fair. They don't play fair in the fight, and the mountain bandits are like, hey, you're taking cheap shots, and they're like, yeah, we're pirates, So again, it's like, it doesn't mean, it's basically, it's like, pirates are not good people, but it doesn't mean you have to be an asshole about it, Like, that's basically it. So I like that, and we get the moment where, Shanks gives Luffy the iconic straw hat and is like, hey, take care of this for me. And that is the big, that's the big thing. That's what everybody, even if you've only seen the 4Kids dub, that about One Piece, is that classic straw hat. So, which is actually why you can see it right here, even though that's not the straw hat at all. That is, funny enough, more of a fedora shape, but it's not a fedora. It's not a fucking fedora. I'll tell you, actually, this over here is an Indiana Jones fedora. So that doesn't count. It's not the meme fedora. Let me tell you that. Anyway, but yeah, pretty much ever since watching One Piece 17 years ago, I've liked straw hats. So it's an interesting thing that happens. Anyway, So just the introduction with Luffy and Shanks is really good. And then Luffy just happens to eat the gum fruit, which I should mention, because at first I didn't really understand the curse to the gum fruit, or any of the devil fruit, really. That yes, you cannot swim. I thought that this just was like a weird thing, like, oh, I don't know. But no, it's that you can physically not swim if you eat one of the devil fruit, and they get more into that with Buggy. So yeah, so we get some beginning villains: the Mountain Bandits, Alvida, and was it Captain Morgan? Captain Morgan, well, not really a threat. I mean, he's interesting. I think he's the first sort of intimidating villain. So I guess next is meeting up with Zolo, which I need to point that out. I need to point out why I say Zolo. And we also get who I'm just gonna call Melvin. I don't remember what his actual name was, but the little guy, that with glasses that pals around with Kobe. That was, I don't know why I couldn't remember Kobe, but he pals around with them for a little while. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Enter Zolo, Pirate Hunter. I want that to be clear, because that was always something in the 4Kids dub, that they changed his name to Zolo instead of... His name should be Zoro, basically. And I always figured that the change was just because 4Kids didn't want to mess with Zoro, the other character, so they just didn't want to mess with it. But it must be that Viz Media doesn't want to mess with that either. Now, I imagine in the English dub done by Funimation, it is Zoro, because they just don't give a shit anymore. But yeah, so I'm going to be saying Zolo a lot, because that is what's in the manga. So, yeah. I know there's people that say, like in JoJo, they say Bucciolati instead of Bucciarati. And that is more, I think, on the translation of Part 5. So I'm going to be saying Zolo, don't kill me. So yeah. So we meet up with Zolo, which is interesting. We get a bit of his backstory. Which his backstory was interesting, mainly just on his buddy, Kuina, or Quina. I don't know how the hell you say it. That's one problem, is that I'm not fully sure how you say some of these names, because I'm reading them, so I'm just trying to pronounce them, But his buddy, and they both want to be the best swordsman, but his buddy, his, female friend, is way better than him, and I like that sort of rivalry that goes there. But then, okay, so first off, and there is a bug on my notes. What the hell? Sorry, I got distracted. There was a bug on my notes. Anyway, so two things about his sword rival. Number one is, she kind of has this dread that because she is a girl, she will eventually just not be up to snuff as a swordsman. I mean, basically, she'll be an incredible swordsman, but just in terms of physicality, Zolo should surpass her because he is a boy. That's the big worry. But the way they sort of frame it is kind of goofy. Like, she basically says it's like, no, it's bad for me because I'm a girl and I'm already getting breasts. Like, what? Like, I know what they're saying. It's just kind of odd. Yeah, here it is. So, yeah, it's basically, she says he's lucky because he is a boy, but she's already starting to get breasts. So it's just like, and meanwhile, Zolo's like, what are you crying about? You beat me, So it's like, yeah, it's basically she's concerned that, yeah, eventually, just in terms of physicality, raw physicality, he will surpass her, But she doesn't have to worry about that too long. Because she falls down the stairs and dies. Which was weird. Like, she just like fell down some stairs. Let me make sure I get that right. Zolo, there's been an accident. It's Kuina. She fell down the stairs. She's dead. What kind of stairs do they have at this place? Like, this incredibly strong, powerful swords girl is just, she fell down the stairs. She did. Those are dangerous stairs, man. Which, I mean, it's not like it can't happen. It's just interesting. And especially with, how strong Zolo is later. But, I don't know. But anyway, so she died. And then we get the iconic third sword, basically. So you can see it here. The third sword that he puts in his mouth is her sword. So, and I wish I still had these. I don't think I'm very positive that I don't. I used to have Zolo's sword toys. Oh, man, I wish I could. I wonder if I have any pictures of that. I doubt it, but that'd be so cool. But yeah, I used to have, so it'd be these two swords, and then they would have a third sword, and they had like a little plasticky bit on the edge, and that's where you put, you put it in your mouth, and then there, and you could be Zolo, And it's like, oh, that's so cool. So yeah. But anyway, so that's Zolo's backstory, and now he wants to basically still complete his dream, which is becoming the greatest swordsman. And I like how, honestly, okay, we'll talk more about this, but this gives me early Dragon Ball vibes. This whole thing gives me early Dragon. And I mean, when I say early Dragon Ball, I don't mean Z. I mean early Dragon Ball vibes. Kid Goku, Bulma, Krillin, Yamcha. Like, the good old days, as I say. Back when, like, honestly, kind of my favorite part of Dragon Ball is the original series. So, but this kind of gives me that, where it's like, okay, you have two characters. You have Luffy and you have Zolo, and both of them probably should never be together, but it just sort of works out, It just sort of works out that Luffy recruits Zolo to his thing, because he's a pirate hunter. Specifically, he hunts pirates, and he's still recruited by a pirate, But Luffy is a good guy, and he helps him. He saves him from Captain Morgan. And then we see that, Zolo will likely be able to complete his dream by going with Luffy, because Luffy is going to be king of the pirates. He needs a good swordsman with him, Pretty much all of the greatest swordsmen will probably run into all the pirates, So, yeah, they are able to connect. We also had a good moment. This is the difference between One Piece and early Dragon Ball, is the moment when Luffy leaves Kobe, and there's basically a point where the Navy comes in after defeating Captain Morgan, and they're like, well, we still don't like you, you're still pirates, but thank you for everything you've done in defeating Captain Morgan, but we can't shelter pirates, we're the Navy, we have to get rid of you. And they're like, okay, well, we're just gonna leave. And there's a risk because if Kobe is associated with pirates, then the Navy is not going to let him join. So I like how this works. That Luffy is about to like tell his secret. He's about to tell Kobe's secret that he used to work for Alvida, Captain Alvida, and Kobe is freaking the heck out until eventually he just punches Luffy completely, and he kind of beats the crap out of him. I mean, not really. Oh, okay, he punches him, and then Luffy kind of punches back. Like, oh, why'd you do that, you Navy dog? And then it convinces the Navy that it's like, okay, they can't be friends. Kobe, you're okay. You're not friends with these pirates. But I like how I like how they do that, and Zolo picks up on it too. That Luffy did that specifically to help Kobe. And I gotta say, now it's been a while since I've watched early Dragon Ball, but I don't remember Goku being that smart. I mean, Goku had his knowledge in certain things, but I just really enjoyed that, And there are several moments like that where you can tell Luffy's not an idiot. He's goofy, but he's not an idiot, and that's definitely one of those moments. So I really enjoyed that. Then we get basically the first big arc and the first big threat, Buggy the Clown. And that was really interesting. I liked him as a villain. I'm curious if all villains are going to have devil fruit. I don't know. I mean, I guess there could be like 1,000 devil fruits. We don't even know, but I'm curious about that. Because, our first real threat, like Captain Morgan wasn't really a threat, But I mean, he came a little close, but I don't think Captain Morgan was much of a threat. Like, he wasn't a challenge to Luffy or Zolo. So, Buggy definitely is. Like, first thing, Buggy is. But we also get Nami, who immediately I just really liked Nami. The fact that she's very clever, she's very witty, and just immediately, you get that she steals from pirates. Honestly, she's like the Nacho Varga of this story. That, she's a thief, but she also specifically distances herself from pirates. And that I really enjoyed. I thought that was a really interesting thing. And honestly, and this is just because, here's another thing for me to reference. But recently, I rewatched all the Indiana Jones movies, and doing that while also reading One Piece, I see a connection. If you want a character comparison, basically, Nami feels like Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark, And I really, really enjoy that. So we get our introduction to Nami, and I like just how ridiculous as well Luffy and Zolo can be. That like there's all these moments where Nami will just be like, no, I can't, I hate pirates. I don't want to join any pirates. And Luffy's like, well, will you be my navigator anyway? Like he's just kind of goofy. But then even Zolo just kind of goes along with it. Like he'll just sort of, he'll roll up and be like, oh, hey, is this our new navigator? And Luffy's like, yep. And it's like, no, I am not. And it's like, well, you kind of are. So that was really cool. I just like Nami, honestly. Let me see. And then just Zolo just hijacking these 3 pirates and then just casually. I like how casual and calm Zolo can be. I thought that was really, really cool. And then Buggy the Clown. Buggy the Clown, our first real threat, for a number of reasons. Mainly, I mean, his first 2 officers, the Lion Tamer and the Swordsman, they're both okay. Again, they're not entirely challenges, but I think they're really interesting. We also get everything with the dog Choo Choo, who that was just sad as shit. And it's like, oh yeah, even though his master is dead, he stays at the shop to protect him. And it's like, well, fuck, man, I'm gonna fucking cry, But that was good. What else is there? And the mayor. I like the mayor as well. And yeah, so Luffy gets put into this cage, and there's the cannon with the buggy balls that are definitely a problem. And so yeah, again, first major threat, like that could hurt him to an extent. But then I just love Zolo just showing up and just being like, you're always goofing around, you know? First you're off with a bird, now you're playing in some cage. It's like, I just love how like nonchalant Zolo can be, you know? So yeah. And then we do get the first fight. We get Zolo versus Buggy, and then we get why Buggy is a threat, that that he ate the chop fruit. So he can disassemble his body and it flies around, basically. So that's really cool. I enjoy that. And at a point, Zolo also gets injured, which we'll talk about a bit. So yeah. Which I guess, well, we can talk about it now. Because we also get Zolo versus Kabaji, the second mate, who's also a swordsman. I love because, first off, Zolo's injured. And then he's going against Kabaji. And he actually injures himself more. And he says, "Is this enough of a handicap for you?" That was awesome. Like, Zolo is just so friggin' cool, you know? Even though he has his goofy moments, he can just be so cool, you know? So that was really good. And he did defeat Kabaji. Some good stuff there. I have to say also, the art. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen any, like, panels from later in the manga. But I have to say, the art in this is just immediately on point, you know? And I really enjoy that. Like, the art is exactly, I don't know, it's what I expected out of One Piece, you know? And the reason I bring this up is sometimes you'll go back to, you know, early in a manga, like, if you go back to the beginning of Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh!, stuff like that, you know, you can definitely see that the author takes a while before they really, you know, sort of pinpoint their style. But honestly, it just feels like, no, Oda's already got it. He's already got his style, and I really enjoy that. There's also another scene later, if I can find it. Yes. At the beginning of chapter 12. For some reason, the art just goes ridiculous, like the shading and everything. If I can figure out how to hold this properly. This is the problem with me. This is my attempt to, like, not edit this too much, so I just sort of hold it up. So yeah, like, the art, like really just jumps up for a little bit. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why it does that, but there's so much, like, shading and everything that's interesting, you know? But I enjoy it. And then, is it the whole chapter? Or eventually, yeah, but that whole chapter, like, just the shading is really, really good, you know? And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why he did it like that, but I enjoyed it. So, yeah. So some interesting notes. Zolo versus Kabaji. Not really that big of a sword fight, honestly. Like, again, just from the fact that he injured himself more, it's like, yeah, it's not that much of a challenge, you know? But there's also the point, let me see. So there's a point where, because throughout all of this, Luffy does have his own attacks, you know, Gum Pistol and stuff like that. Zolo also has a big move, but I do have a note about it. Oh yeah, here's the moment of, is this enough of a handicap for you? So, here it is. So, it's at the beginning of this that we get Zolo's big attack, Onigiri. And it specifically, maybe a bit hard to see, but it specifically says here, translator note, Onigiri means demon slash. Now, here's where we just got to talk about manga in general. I might have preferred demon slash. Now, this is a minor point. I might have preferred demon slash. Because at first, it also begins, you know, one panel earlier on the previous page where he starts saying, you know, Oni, and then the next page is the big slice through, Giri, you know? And it's fine. And I get that that's the name in Japanese. I understand that. I may have just preferred Demon Slash, because that's... I don't know. This is a guy who grew up on... there are just sort of, I guess, untranslated attack names in, like, Dragon Ball or something. But, like, last night, I was watching through Dragon Ball Superhero, the worst named Dragon Ball movie. No, but overall I liked the movie. But I liked at the end, because I was watching the English dub, that Gohan, he uses basically the special beam cannon, but he says special beam cannon. And I feel like if this was, if Dragon Ball had been dubbed nowadays, instead of being dubbed back in the 90s, it would have just been, Macaco Sapo or whatever the fuck it's called, and I like special beam cannon. It's kind of dumb, but I like it. So there's a part of me that's like, I almost wish it was just Demon Slash, It's like in this big climactic moment of Zolo versus Kabaji, I have to look at a translator's note, I don't know. It's a minor thing, but it's fine. And I definitely feel like there's more to Zolo than we're letting on as well. Because it's not just the fact that he can fight through all that pain and the injury, but I swear, I'm pretty sure he's just sleep healing. He's like Nezuko, actually. He's just like, he'll just like go to sleep for like 20 minutes and be like, well, I've healed myself, And that's really interesting. That's really, really interesting. So there's definitely more for Zolo that we need to have, And then we get the big fight, which is Luffy versus Buggy. I thought that was a really good, fun fight. Which again, is it feels like the first actual fight that Luffy has had, but it was good. It was good. I really enjoyed the fight. And I like how clever it is too, and kind of goofily clever, where basically, like, Buggy will split himself apart and he will like fly after Nami, but his legs are still there. And I like how Luffy is like, and he just kicks him in the nuts, and it hurts him. It absolutely, because the whole body is still connected to where he still feels that pain, even if his body is, in segments. So that was really, really clever that it's like, yeah, he just kicked him in the nuts. That was hilarious. I love that. I feel like Goku wouldn't do that, Kid Goku wouldn't do that. He didn't know what nuts are, really. Well, now that's wrong. Now he does know what nuts are, so... He does know, because that was the whole point, is that Bulma didn't have balls. So, that's beside the point. Anyway, but I just don't know if Goku would have done that, basically. So I like that Luffy did do that. And then, when Buggy splits apart again, he thinks he's learned that he splits up his entire body, complete head to toe split up, and he's flying off. But Luffy realizes that his feet can't fly. His feet are the only thing that stay on the ground. So Luffy just takes one of his feet and then he starts tickling it. And it completely debilitates him, and it's hilarious. Like, I really enjoyed that. Like, which I guess, here, let me get the actual panel for it. Because it is a really good, it is a really funny thing, Oh, and there's also the moment where Buggy actually breaks the straw hat, and that's when Luffy really gets serious. So, and we do get Buggy's backstory with Shanks, actually, that the two of them used to be on the same crew, but Buggy wanted to, he wanted fame and fortune and glory and everything, so he tried stealing the treasure map and the devil fruit, and through a pretty funny series of events, he ended up eating the chop fruit, and he hates Shanks because of it, even though it's really not Shanks' fault. Anyway, yeah. So here's the nut shot that that Luffy does, which is just hilarious. And then he splits up. he splits up to go after Nami, and there we go. And Luffy just takes his foot and tickles it, and it just he can't do it. And then he starts like just pounding the foot and everything, and like and tickling him and pinching him, and it's just he can't do anything. And then Nami gets the hit on him, and then after that is also the great funny thing. He tries to bring everything back, and he's just this little short dude. And it turns out, if I could move my hands properly, it turns out that Nami tied up the rest of his body. And I thought that was really, really funny. And honestly, yeah, so it was the crotch shot and then like torturing his foot. I actually laughed out loud, and I've never laughed out loud reading a manga. Now, I haven't read a lot of manga. I read Yu-Gi-Oh!, I read Sailor Moon. I've read a lot of the Zelda manga just because I love that, but this was the first time I really laughed out loud reading a manga, and it's just so great, it's just so great. And I like how, and then also through all of this, Nami realizes that Luffy and Zolo, while they may be pirates, they're not the bad kind, So she does accept the two of them and decides to join them on the quest for the Grand Line, So yeah, but honestly, this manga, at least so far, is just so fun. It's so fun. It's so goofy. And I've just really, really enjoyed it. So here's my thing, though. Because I compared this to early Dragon Ball. And there's definitely some comparisons you can make between early Dragon Ball and One Piece. Here's the thing, though. I don't want One Piece to go the way of Dragon Ball. I want this, and you can have, serious moments or epic, shonen battle scenes and stuff, but I still want this, like, the heart of this to continue on for the next, 1,000 or so chapters. Now, that might be asking a lot, and I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. That might be asking a lot, and maybe that won't happen, but I really do hope it does happen, because this was so much fun, And as someone who, I still like Dragon Ball, but when you get to some of the stuff in Z, it's good, but I really enjoyed Dragon Ball. Or you get to, now, there's the opposite side of that there's GT for stuff like that. GT was not that good. It was not that good. It didn't know what it was doing. And Dragon Ball Super has some good moments and stuff, but I like original Dragon Ball stuff, which is why I actually enjoyed the superhero movie, because that was goofy. It felt like early Dragon Ball, and it wasn't so concerned on, Super Saiyan jack-off mode or whatever, it was just fun, even though it did have transformations and stuff. So I'm hoping that One Piece kind of keeps that going, I hope One Piece can do that, because I've really enjoyed this, and while I'm sure that's going to be continuing for a while, because it's, I'm still pretty early, I'm really hopeful that the heart of what I've read for 21 chapters continues. So, I don't know. And again, you can have more, I guess, serious moments or, big, epic shonen jump fights. You can have all of that, but I hope there is still a lot of goofiness going forward in One Piece. And I think there is. I think I say that with a pretty, with a pretty sizable guess that is what's going to be happening. But yeah. Hey, I forgot to mention this in the actual video when I originally recorded it, so I thought I'd just mention it. Here, I'll just do a quick clip cut in. I love all the stuff that Oda puts between the chapters. I think that's just really cool. Like, he'll have, different things you can do for pirate flags, or one of my favorites, actually, that he did. It's going to take me a second to find it. Here it is. Here it is. So he gives this whole, thing about Vikings, and so he does this one after chapter 10. There's another one later on, and he basically talks about how Vikings were kind of the first pirates, and I really enjoy that. As a guy with a bachelor's degree in history, I appreciate that. That's some really interesting stuff, and if I could find... Here it is. Vikings Part 2, which is just after Chapter 3. So he goes over like the different aspects of the Viking. He even has a drawing of Luffy as a Viking, which is good. And then, where's this? I know there must be a third part then that I'm just not remembering, because there's one specific point I want to make about it. Here it is. Vikings Part 3. This is just after Chapter 14, where he talks about a show, actually, that he used to watch when he was a kid. Chisa na Viking Bike. That's probably not how you say it. But Little Viking Vicky, I think, is how it's supposed to... Because I actually looked this up. But yeah, so he talked about this show, that this anime that he watched as a kid. And he said it aired over 15 years ago. So a lot of people of my generation, which he says he's 23, which as a man who's about to turn 26, that's... look at where this guy was at my age. But he was talking about it, people from back then, and I looked it up. It was quite a while ago that this show aired. But he says if it ever got rebroadcast, you should definitely check it out. That's probably how I started liking pirates. So that stuff I just really enjoy. All these little things. He'll do like some rough sketches or stuff between chapters, and I'm sure tons of mangakas do that, but there's just something about seeing... Like, it feels like after each chapter, I just get to know Oda a little bit more. I'm only 21 chapters in. Imagine where we're going to be in 1,000 chapters, But that's another thing that I kind of hope keeps up, because it's just an interesting little thing, and it really makes me... It really helps me, like, get to know Oda, basically. So, just a quick thing that I wanted to also include in this. So yeah, that's basically it. Those are my thoughts on this first part of One Piece, the Romance Dawn / Buggy the Clown arc. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. So yeah, have you read One Piece? Have you seen One Piece? Have you watched the old 4Kids dub? Which, I mean, I enjoyed the 4Kids dub. Obviously, there are 20 million problems with the 4Kids dub, but I still enjoyed it as a kid. And I still enjoyed the One Piece rap anyway. So, have you seen One Piece? What did you think about it? You can leave that in the comments. Next time, whenever that is, but it will be sometime soon, I will be going through around the next 3 volumes or so of this. And yeah, we'll have a good old time, and yeah, we'll set sail for adventure or something else profound. Anyway, that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of my One Piece reviews, of which there will be more at some point, and there's another video on screen. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.